We're back. Actually, we're ending off the segment on personal branding, which you possibly heard in episode 4. Episode 5 is with Jan Parmentier, the founder of Supernova Brands. This is a super deep conversation around Black Friday, which might not be a deep topic, but Jan actually gets super intimate with me and shares how he actually landed up in hospital. I'd love for you to tune into this episode where we dive deep into Black Friday, retail, and more. Jan actually joins me on stage in Selective Live's studio. And I want to again thank so much to Selective Live for making this happen. But for now, tune in. Episode 5 with Jan Parmentier, Black Friday. Boom. Jan.
Jason.
Parmentier. How do you pronounce your surname, brother?
Parmentier.
Parmentier.
Yeah, that will do.
Thanks so much for coming on set. This is the first one in person. Super excited. As normal, it's going to be super valuable. It's going to be informative. But how are you feeling today, man?
Good. Energetic.
Yeah?
Bit stressed. It's time of the year for us. Festive season.
Festive season.
You're going to ask the right questions at this time of the year, I guess.
Okay, perfect, man. So, I was going to ask about you, but you know what? I'm actually going to sell myself back to you on the things that I've learned about you on the internet.
Okay.
So, I know you started a business, Supernova, in 2014.
Correct.
But it had a different name before.
J&J Rewards.
J&J Rewards.
Story for another time, but we basically, like many other businesses, we started a couple of brands, and then we were like, the company name doesn't really, because we didn't want it to be limited to brands. So like, let's have the holding company underneath it. Jan and Justin.
Jan and Justin, classic.
So that's us two, the two founders at the time. Applied at the CIPC, like what options are there? Filled in 5. CIPC basically said J&J Rewards is available.
Okay.
So we just went with it. Turned out to become an import distribution business, but J&J Rewards confused people extremely.
Okay.
So often people thought we were a rewards company.
Yes.
And sometimes the J&J confused people with Johnson & Johnson. It's so funny actually, because we now we are an import distribution business. But, when we dealt with retailers, they sometimes actually sent the shampoos back to us. So we received stock of shampoo and Johnson & Johnson products, thinking we were Johnson & Johnson. And the other thing is that it helped us because it opened up meetings with retailers that normally never would have wanted to meet with us because we were obviously too small at the time. But they thought that we were meeting with Johnson & Johnson, and then eventually we were sitting in the office there, and they're like, "Oh, wait a second, you're not Johnson & Johnson."
Yeah.
And then we had a chance to actually pitch ourselves. So it definitely helped us. But eventually we rebranded to Supernova Brands last year.
Okay, so now Supernova, born in Antwerp,
correct,
Belgium. Okay, moved to South Africa in 2010.
Yeah, straight after the World Cup.
Okay, did you go to the World Cup?
No, fortunately, missed it. I was an exchange. And I could only start here the 1st of August, if not mistaken. Okay. It was a pity because every South African was in a depression. Like everyone spent their money during the World Cup. Everyone was broke. Yeah. So I arrived fresh, but everyone was like, like out of money. Give us some time to recover from the World Cup. So it was a pity that I missed it. But yeah.
Why did you come to South Africa in 2010?
I had an opportunity with my home university to do an exchange. It was normally within Europe. It's called Erasmus. But I like water sports, surfing, windsurfing, kitesurfing. And then Cape Town was always on my radar map. Actually, I always watched one video in my when I was studying for the exams. Every day I watched the video. It's a 10-minute windsurfing video. Yeah. I watch it every night because I study in the night. Like 12 or 1 o'clock in the night, I watch it just to get my spirits up again. And the destination was Cape Town. And then when I could choose and I saw the list and then I was like, flip, I'm not going to Paris or London. I'm going to Cape Town to the video that I was watching every day, and then I applied and eventually I got that partnership.
Nice. So what uni did you go to?
UCT.
Oh, okay. Nice. Okay, so then 2010 decide to come to Cape Town, not to study, but to come and windsurf.
Primarily to windsurf, but also as a student.
Okay. Off the record. Okay, then. So yeah, you're into surfing, enjoy going outdoors. But interesting. Do you know what your first tweet was ever?
Didn't even know they had a Twitter account or an X or.
Aha. So your first tweet was, "This is how I'm spending my Friday night." But unfortunately, the URL has expired.
Maybe good. I'm
Yes.
happy.
So I think you might have been saved. But that your first tweet was in August
When was that?
2013, on the 16th of August.
Oh,
Yeah, you actually have an account. I actually looked that up, and I was like, I
funny.
would have loved to know what you were doing on that
so
Friday
on
night.
Friday night. It was still a young me, so I probably don't want to be remembered.
Yeah. But Jan, thanks so much for coming on set.
Thanks.
I know you're a super innovative guy. You love your outdoors, you love your business. But today I really want to dive deep into who you are as a business owner, but the retail space and Black Friday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting phenomenon.
Definitely.
How old is Black Friday? Just give us some
Especially
context.
because it goes back to the States. It's kind of interlinked with Halloween. And it's a concept that was founded as a principle in the States, and it has been growing in the States and has been slowly coming to South Africa. So in South Africa, I feel like the last 5 years it really started to catch on, and it became a proper big concept. But it's a man-made invention. I don't want to call it. It would be ungrateful to call it just like that, like a marketing stunt, but it is obviously something to drive sales. That's the ultimate idea behind it. Black Friday is by far one of the biggest concepts in the world, but actually Singles Day, and often people forget it, but in China Singles Day is still by far outselling Black Friday.
Okay.
If not mistaken, Singles Day is in September, and it's huge. Alibaba does billions of revenue in one day. Billions.
Okay.
Forgot the exact number, but it's high. So those two principles are kind of going with each other.
Okay. So I like when you polarize something in terms of biggest, right? So Black Friday, would that be considered biggest or smallest in terms of revenue number, but then in terms of amount of things sold or amount of people known? So how can we compare them apples for apples?
Revenue. Just retail revenue, what you're making on that day. Obviously the principle changed a little bit. It used to be Black Friday, your last Friday of the month in November. That was Black Friday.
Okay.
But the concept has been stretched and stretched and stretched. So now Black Friday starts very early in the month already with some early Black Friday deals leading up. Some retailers have a Black Friday week, so the principle definitely has been stretched. Whereas Singles Days in China is still one day. That's just one day. There's no pre or after sales. And then you've got Black Friday, and then now there's also Cyber Monday. Similar concept, but Black Friday by far the biggest, Cyber Monday second, and then you have your sales before and after that still lead up towards your Black Friday weekend. But we basically look at it as a weekend. It's that Friday and that Monday. Those are the two big days that you're aiming for.
Wow. So you know a lot about this, which I believe that's why I want you on here. But
yeah,
Supernova. Tell me a little bit about Supernova and why, of course, you know so much about Black Friday, and then tie us into what's your strategy around Black Friday?
Yeah. Supernova Brands, import distribution business. That's kind of it's actually quite hard to label us under one theme, but the gist of it is that we're import distribution business. We've got two divisions within the business. There's a home division, there's a tech or consumer electronics division. So they're fully separate from each other, but obviously all within the Supernova home. We kind of have two channels. So we distribute brands, meaning that we'll take on brand distribution from an overseas brand that we launch into South Africa. We run the marketing campaigns, the whole brand launch, and then obviously building the brand in South Africa. In the tech division, we mostly have distributed brands. Amazon, Google, like there's a couple of quite big brands that we have in there. In the home space, we've got distribution for J. Franco, which is basically all the Disney license and Minecraft. So it's all bedding and textile. But we also private label for retailers, and that's quite a big other avenue. It's basically where a retailer comes with this is the range or the catalog that we kind of looking for. So they have a lookbook of this is the vision that we have for our products in store. Can you curate products for us and put them under our private label? So it's the retailer's brand basically that we are manufacturing and building for them.
Yes.
So that's Supernova brands.
Yes.
So obviously customer-wise, 2 big channels, e-commerce and brick and mortar.
Yes.
So e-commerce is 55% of our revenue roughly. So that's your normal big marketplaces or your online channels. Takealot, One Day Only, Macro Marketplace. So there's many online channels there. It's very big. In saying that, actually e-com in South Africa is still small. 5% of the retail revenue is only done online yet, in comparison to the States or Europe, sitting between 20 and 30, sometimes even higher.
Okay.
So we're definitely behind in South Africa, but it's growing fast. So without a doubt, it's the biggest growing. So we've always focused on e-commerce in the beginning, but undeniably, brick and mortar is still very, very big in South Africa. So that's your builders, your game, Clicks, this game. Coming back to Black Friday, running a Black Friday campaign, in my opinion, in e-commerce is a lot easier instead of running it on brick and mortar. Because in e-commerce planning, you're a lot more flexible.
Yes.
Whereas your in-store execution to actually run a Black Friday deal in store is a lot harder. It requires a lot more planning. You probably start planning your Black Friday deals already in July, September at latest.
Yeah.
In between that period, you planning your Black Friday deals. And yeah, I mean, I've been now in retail for 10 years nearly. Yeah. So along the way, you just learn a lot on the intricacies of it and how you plan these promotions and campaigns.
Yeah, I like what you say there, where online is probably a lot more flexible, customizable. You can change along the way.
You click a couple of buttons and you've got the pricing right.
Exactly.
And you run your emails and your newsletters.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more flexible.
And
a lot more.
The data you get back, you know, but then in brick and mortar, let's say you want to do like a whole like print. Yeah. You want to have like your whole staff understanding language.
100%.
It's a lot more harder.
Your merchandise of it, like if you have 100, 200 retail stores, like every store must be merchandised with that Black Friday campaign. Like you must be able to walk into store and immediately see the promotion that they're running. So the execution of it is just a lot more difficult.
Yes.
But again, the revenue and the retail revenue is in brick and mortar in South Africa.
Okay, so let me ask you this question. Do you think Black Friday, with the context you've just shared with me, right? South Africa enjoying a 5% e-commerce execution in terms of buying and
products
selling.
that are being bought.
Yeah. And then the rest is brick and mortar. Yeah. And then you also mentioned the opposite, or let's say not the opposite, 20-30% in the European regions and the Americas. Yeah. But Black Friday is a concept that originates from?
States.
The States.
Yeah.
And it's an online, let's say, phenomenon.
Well, yes and no. Like in the States, I'm sure if you look on Twitter or X now, the videos you'll see of Black Friday in the States, like people are trampling each other, walking over each other.
Going into the store. Okay.
Like it gets crazy in the States. Absolutely crazy.
Okay.
So there's definitely there's a huge push online, but in store in the States it's gigantic. Okay. Also falls together with I've got that public holiday there now, Thanksgiving. So it goes together with that weekend. So it's quite an event. Like it's literally like a family event. Like you've got your TV in mind. Yeah. You know your retail store you want to go at, and people queue up hours and hours, and then doors open, and everyone just tries to grab the best deals.
Okay, but you don't have to answer if you like it or not yet, because this is still in my mind, because those numbers 5, 30, interesting. What's limiting our South African ecosystem on enjoying more e-commerce? Like why are we only at 5%?
I think there's a lot more experts as me. In that field around it, but there's multiple reasons. It just started already with cell phone adoption and internet adoption. Like everyone must be able to have access to data, to internet in general. So that already helps if everyone has access to it. The last mile delivery was quite hard, but these days I feel like I mean, there's Pargo, there's a lot of different concepts with last mile delivery, also collection points, plus rural areas, townships, like the delivery. Back in the days, courier companies couldn't always deliver to these areas, whereas now, like, it's definitely improved a lot. And it eventually comes down to trust. Like, as a consumer, there was like, you're kind of scared to order. Is it trusted? Am I going to get, like, there's still this, like, I'm handing my money over by just a transfer. Am I actually going to get that product? Whereas that trust level, without a doubt, is going up.
Okay.
So now if you look in South Africa at the numbers of how many people are scrolling online on the e-commerce websites, it definitely increased. It's not always showing in the direct conversion of it. But eventually, the brands we chat with, some of the European brands, like, their main strategy, like, it blows my mind. Like, in Europe, there's brands that 40 to 50% of the turnover is coming from e-commerce. It's the Amazons, it's the convenience you have of it. In Amazon, sometimes you get same day delivery in Europe or in the States. Like, it's the same as going to a store. And sometimes your pricing, and brick and mortar wouldn't like it for me to say, but sometimes it's the two business models between online and brick and mortar are hard. With brick and mortar, you have so much higher overheads. You got rents, you got a lot of staff. So sometimes on online you can run at a more competitive price. So if you trust the internet and you trust delivery, you're probably going to be ordering it online because at a better price you're going to get it the same day.
Exactly. And I was also thinking, over and above that, ordering online allows you to almost have a lot more stock available around this one, let's say, real estate.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
So 1,000 people don't have to walk into your store to experience the TV. They just trust that they're going to get the TV.
Yeah.
It's beyond, it's above par in terms of spec.
Yeah.
But you could have that stock in China.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Two parts of it. And I'm not going to bore you.
No, please go for it.
But I think just focus, and obviously if you are a full-on e-commerce company, you full-on e-commerce. But I think omni-channel, they call it omni-channel retail. That's without a doubt the best strategy. So for example, you're a brick and mortar, you've got 100 stores. When you go omni-channel, so you've got you build your e-commerce website. Often the retail store will be used as, and to say it in a not so nice way, but as a showroom nearly, because you're going to go in, you're going to check out the product, you're going to touch and feel it, you do your research again, and eventually you're going to go back to the website of that retailer and you're going to order it online, you're going to get it delivered. But often it's very nice to actually go see, touch and feel the product and then order it online. So I think brick and mortar stores definitely have a huge advantage there. Plus the last mile delivery, if you think about it, like, and stores are getting more clever and clever with it. When you're a big e-commerce company, you have two DCs. You have one in Cape Town, you've got one in Joburg.
What's a DC?
Like a big warehouse central point where they basically send all the stock and they stock it and they send it out from there.
Yeah.
But if you have 100 stores, you actually have 100 different warehouses across the country. So your last mile delivery becomes a lot more competitive and easier because you are living a lot closer to that central point where you can pick up or deliver your stock. So you can actually, if you execute it well, you can actually deliver your stock a lot faster from that store to the end customer instead of having it sent out from a DC in Cape Town or Joburg. But right now, and websites like Shein, Alibaba, they are without a doubt a threat to the local e-commerce companies in South Africa. Without a doubt. Because Shein, I think it's still the case, but it's the most downloaded app in South Africa. And basically it's websites where they take all the stock of the factories in China, they put that all into, and I'm not saying Shein does it exact way, but basically the basic concept is you take all these factories, you take their catalogs, you put them on your e-commerce website. You obviously have now an insane amount of stock. You know there's a bit of a lead time if you order from Shein, but they don't hold that stock. So obviously there's a lot of orders coming through. They manufacture. They've got 2 or 3 days to manufacture, send it to the central point, and they deliver to the end customer in South Africa. So you cut out a lot of different people. Like it's a D2C model, so direct to consumer. So you go literally straight from factory to end consumer, and often you get your product between 7 and 10 days. And I don't think it's good always for business or the environment. Like it's fast fashion.
Exactly.
Like ordering something on machine, like a dress or a t-shirt could be like 20 rand to 50 bucks. So you're not going to wear it often, and so it's fast fashion. So I don't think it's good for the environment, but it's without a doubt, with South African consumers being under pressure from spending power, it's a good alternative. And South Africans are starting to trust these kind of websites, so it is definitely a threat to South African e-commerce.
Sure, that is a mouthful, and I know we're still going back to that question. Do you like Black Friday? And this is a contextual thing, because one, I think you could maybe like it from where you come from, like the Americas and Europe, but you've been living here for over
12 years.
12 years, and I would want to ask, in that context, do you like it for South Africa? Given the fact that, I'm still trying to understand, like, because the Europeans of the world understand to focus their Black Friday strategy around e-commerce, and the success of that being a week or a day, this hyper investment, hyper change in strategy and resource to actually create some type of profit over this marketing gimmick. Whereas South Africa, the numbers don't match.
No.
But then, are we using the same strategies? So maybe ask that, in the context of South Africa, do you like Black Friday for South Africa? Do you? Do you think it's a profitable, good initiative for the South African retail space?
Difficult question. Depends who you ask. I think from a consumer point of view, yes, great concept, because you're going to save money. There are really good deals out there that probably you normally wouldn't get. Like some Black Friday pricing is very aggressive. So as a consumer, you are going to get really good deals, so you're going to save money. Is it good for retail and the ecosystem around retail? In my opinion, not really. Because you drive a lot of volume. So again, I'm speaking now for my business. So like I think eventually the consumer is king. So they want the best product at the best price. But from a retail ecosystem, it depends how you use Black Friday. So if, for example, if you're overstocked on a couple of items,
it's almost like a sale
then it's a sale, then it's great because you can now clear that out of your stores, out of your warehouse, and you run extremely aggressive pricing on it. Then it helps you as a business because you're overstocked and you need the cash flow incentive or whatever it may be. Is it a highly profit-driven weekend? Not always. Depends on who you ask. Like some stores still manage to actually have good profitability, but be on the supplier side. And often that and I'll say with all respect to the retailers, but often that discount is pushed towards the supplier side. Because the retailer will ask you like, cool, what do we have for Black Friday? Like, do you have any good deals for us? So then you're going to offer a couple of products or lines at really discounted prices, so your margin is totally squeezed. And the retailer will lower their margin, but they still make some money on it. Not always, but very often we don't actually. There's been months where we did double of the revenue as a normal month in a Black Friday month, but our profit was lower as a normal month.
Okay,
so think about it. It's crazy, yeah?
Let me put this into layman terms to see if I understood what you're saying. So there's suppliers who are supplying, let's say, covers for phones. And I'm a retailer, and I've come to you, Jan, and being like, hey, it's Black Friday. What deal on covers do you have for me? So then you've got a bunch of covers, and you're like, then you normally give them for 20 rand. And now you're going to give me them for 15 rand. I'm going to sell them for 13 Rand and make 2 Rand, and you're going to make maybe, I don't know, anything.
Yeah, let's
It's
use a
nothing.
practical example. So normally, for example, and I'm using it super easy math now, but
Yeah.
we would sell that phone cover to the retailer for 100 Rand.
Yeah.
They would retail it for 200 bucks.
Oh, they'll make a mock up.
So
Not
normally,
on the
yeah, so
discount.
so in a normal scenario, so
Okay.
they buy for 100 bucks, they inclusive of VAT, they'll sell it for 199.
Perfect.
Now they're going to ask, we want a good Black Friday deal on this item.
Yeah.
We are going to say, cool, like the lowest we can go is, for example, 70 Rand, because
Mhm.
there basically would be all the profits nearly gone.
Mhm.
70 bucks, the retailer will retail it for 129. So they're going to decrease the profit margin also a little bit.
Okay.
We probably often, it's just not a profitable deal for us. It's great, again, for the consumer, but the end consumer is going to pay 129 Rand for that product.
Where they would have been like
exactly.
199 or 200 bucks.
Exactly. So now in
Okay.
that instance, let's say normally per month we sell 100 phone cases on a normal profit margin when we're selling it at 100 bucks. Now we're selling 1,000 on Black Friday, but we're selling it for 70 bucks. So we made a lot of revenue, but our profitability was so low that often our profitability is lower in that month when we sold 1,000 at that discounted price instead of selling 100 at our normal pricing.
Wow.
Uh,
That is ridiculous.
But eventually what you hope as a supplier or a distributor, you hope that you are going to get really attractive deals out for the consumer, that it pulls in the traffic so that eventually they impulse buy for something else that is still at full margin.
Okay, interesting.
So you're going to hope now, okay, he's
They
going to buy the phone
recognize
cover,
the brand now.
but we've got
Tell your friends.
accessories or something
Yes.
else, like, oh, you know what, I'm going to buy this phone cover. Actually, I'm saving myself 70 bucks today.
Yes.
Then we spent that 70 bucks and let's buy that other accessory that's at full pricing.
Wow.
And that's obviously what you kind of hope for,
Yeah.
retail and the distributor, that you actually upsell the customer because they saved something. They're not going to spend less, they're going to spend the same amount as normally, but
Yeah.
they're just going to spend it on different items too.
Okay. Interesting. So, yeah. And you spoke about like, now, well, sometimes it looks good on the one side, but it actually isn't good on the other side. Let's, actually, you look really good. I think I'm also going to do my hair now, just so that I can, like, get in.
Match it.
Yeah, like,
Yes.
get it down.
Flick it.
it. So, like, I think, tell me a little bit about the real ups you've had. So, like, you've run a Black Friday strategy and you've been like, wow, you've just hit it out the park. Like, an experience, a story where Black Friday has really come back and patted you guys on the back.
It's campaigns that are sold out by 9 o'clock in the morning, sometimes midnight. So like your campaign, often it will launch if you do it, let's call it the right way. It's not the right way, but like sometimes you have lead up. So like you start selling already on the Wednesday.
Mhm.
But if you treat it like online,
Mhm.
like your Black Friday deal is gonna run from Thursday night midnight at 12 o'clock. That's when the deal goes live. If your deal sells out by sometimes even 2 o'clock in the morning or 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, then you know you've curated a deal that the consumer really wanted. It
Mhm.
really had a very good price offering,
Mhm.
and then it's a success story.
Okay.
Sometimes
it?
you're like, flip, I should have put more stock behind it.
Yes.
Sometimes you're like, well, that's all we could do.
Yes.
But anyways, those are the deals like that seriously makes you happy. It's quite fun in our office. We've got big dashboards up then,
Mhm.
and then the anticipation is huge. Like you stay up at night, and then it goes live, and then you just check the dashboards, and you can kind of see particularly online on how the deals are performing.
Okay. And over your 10 years, is there any specific one that you can like give an example where you were selling a specific product or?
Not particularly,
Yeah.
because we've got so many different deals, and they're also curated per retailer. So like you don't want to have a good Black Friday deal on a product and then every single retailer sells it at the same price.
Mm.
Like you kind of want to make it a bit special for the retailer because it benefits them too. So on that one product line item, that retailer has that running at that cost. On a product line item, that retailer is running at that cost, because it depends on the brand and the strategy behind it.
Yeah,
but
fair.
often you actually spread it out across the retailers.
Okay. Nice.
But yeah, it's just, I love it and I hate it.
Okay.
because it's extreme. Like seriously, it's stressful. Like it's a stressful time. There's so many things that can go wrong. But yeah, for some reason I love it. Like it's that excitement in the air. And you build up towards it. Like we start prepping our deals and our stock forecasting and what items we're going to do. We start preparing this in February, March often.
Okay, let's talk now to the toughness. Like, do you have any horror stories that you can like share specific around Black Friday where things have probably possibly gone wrong?
Yeah, plenty.
Yeah?
Plenty.
Give me a good example.
It's just when whatever you worked for and prepped for collapses. Can be multiple reasons. For example, without going into details, but like sometimes traffic is so high on these websites that they bomb out. So the stock that you've, like when the website bombs out because the traffic is too high, you're not going to sell anything. So the potential would have been huge, but if the website is done, you're not going to sell anything. So after that Black Friday weekend, you are seriously overstocked. So it had all the right ingredients for it, but the website is out, you're not going to sell.
Yeah.
So it's not in my hands, that's in the hands of the developers and the retailers. But it happens now. It's a little bit better since last year, but I think like often the retailers often underestimate. I don't think they underestimate it, but sometimes the success is so big that just the website can't handle it. Crashes, and then that's your stock that you can't sell. And then we had instances where stock is being switched off last minute, or like there's all kind of complications. And last year actually I quite a few things went wrong like this, where eventually the stock just wasn't sold because of technicalities. And I like just to be open and honest,
please do.
I ended up in hospital from stress.
Seriously?
It's a make or break the weekend. It's very important. You put a lot of cash flow behind it because you're going to sell high volumes, low margins, and if that stock is not sold how you anticipate it, that stock sits in your warehouse that still eats up your cash flow.
Sure.
So last year some of those things went wrong, and I eventually solved. We worked our way through it. But in January, my body was like, I'm done.
Sure.
So I had to shut down for 2 weeks.
Okay.
To recover from it.
But no, I was actually looking on your Instagram. I've got a bit of a research team.
Yeah.
You've got like a proper body. So
because I couldn't eat those 2 weeks in hospital.
Thanks for sharing, and I can actually see that it gives you a bit of shivers that time. But you're still in it. Still looking. Excuse my French, but very, very healthy. And I'm sure you're gonna definitely crush it in the next you're like what 25 days out?
It's nearly it's indeed.
Yeah, about like 25 days out.
A small month.
Yeah,
and it also counts towards Christmas. So in our office we got a Days to Christmas dashboard. Yes. Because maybe it's a question you want to dive in later, but I'll just touch on it. I think because I mean I'm here to run a business, and the business hopefully should reach or be profitable. So that's the ultimate one of the ultimate goals. Otherwise, you can't run the business. Not from a consumer point of view, but from a business point of view. What I think is a pity about Black Friday is that basically, if your consumer is already cash tight, you're gonna be saving up for the Black Friday deals. But you're going to do all your festive buying. You're going to do that over that Black Friday weekend. Okay. So back in the days when Black Friday wasn't a concept, in December there was by far our peak trading month, by far. Yours as a supplier? As a business, as a supplier. Yeah. But similar for retailer, like when Black Friday didn't exist, like your peak is December. Everyone is buying the Christmas gifting, New Year's festive season gifting.
Mm-hmm.
So your trading is tremendous from the 1st of December till like the 24th of December. What happened now is that actually a lot of that sales shifted to Black Friday weekend, and a lot of people, understandably, you're gonna already, when you think a bit forward, you're gonna do your festive gifting buying. You're gonna be buying that Black Friday weekend, so that you've done your shopping for your December. The problem is, as a business, those are the deals that you've obviously put a lot of discounts on, so your margins are very tight and not very profitable, and you've actually lost a big part of your profitable trading in December. And I think as a retailer and a supplier, you feel it, like you really, really feel it. So ideally, the concept was created that you do double spending. Like obviously, they want to maximize spending, so that you spend in November, you spend in December, and you can maximize. Like now you got 2 months of festive season. Mm-hmm. Now October here, November here, December sitting in the middle. So it's definitely gone down, and that's, as a business, like retail is tough, and like obviously there's a lot of overheads and etc. Like you actually need to make your money as a retail or distribution business. You want to make your profitability in December, and that's
for what reasons?
Well, because that's like across the months, depending on what you do, but your profitability is not always as high. But you want to make your profit in that December month. Okay. So as a business, in your forecasting, that December month is super, super important, because that's when you make your profitability that helps you for the year. And now that actually has shifted a little bit and taken away some of the profitability.
Jesus. How when did Black Friday enter South Africa?
Not sure actually, but
if you had to take a rough guess,
5-6 years.
Okay, so 5-6 years ago, this introduction of a global free market type marketing has entered. So, and now you're mentioning, even now we don't even get involved with like COVID. That wasn't free. No. Like take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But now, like, maybe then there's an ethical issue here, right? Because the calendar years are totally different from where this phenomena came from. Yeah. Because would you say businesses in Europe most profitable time of the year is December?
Yes.
Also.
Yeah, Christmas
festive.
Like it's that Christmas buying. Yeah. Like if you look at the malls, like 1-2 weeks before Christmas, the malls are packed. Similarly in Europe.
Are they experiencing the same phenomenon? Like where, so like globally, the November
peak
is peaking, and then October, then December is now going in half.
Yeah, but it still, I mean, it still also depends on who your consumer is. Like if there's a high spending power, then your consumer is probably just going to score a Black Friday deal, but still do their festive season buying. Okay. But if you're a bit more cash tight, you're going to be forward thinking. You're going to do the majority of your buying on Black Friday weekends, and you're going to buy less in December. So in South Africa, we are under pressure. Like retail globally is under pressure. Inflation is super high, so everywhere prices are hiked and the consumer is feeling it. So I think globally retail is quite a bit under pressure, but particularly in South Africa too, our South African consumer is under pressure. So you're going to buy very consciously. And why not? Like if you know and you can do a deal, you're going to buy that product anyways 2 or 3 weeks later. Like you're going to buy it around like 15th of December. You're going to buy your Christmas buying. Yeah. Like you may as well, if you know already what you want to buy, the air fryer. Like you know, like my mom wants an air fryer. Yeah. You already know, like, oh, that's a good Christmas idea. So instead of just buying on the 15th of December, you're just going to buy it on the 25th or 26th or that weekend. You're going to buy it in November, stock it in your house, and then you're going to give it as a gift in Christmas time.
So I remember correctly, you're not too much of a fan of Black Friday for South Africa from a lens of the retailer side. Yeah. Do you think there is some ethical issue? Do you think there's some systematic or like some structural way that change needs to happen? The fact that you don't like it.
Yeah, difficult topic. There's multiple things. Some. I think as a consumer, you must be informed on what you're going to be buying. I think there's two kind of consumers. There's the consumer who is very well prepared and he's gotten a lot of data and read about the product and custom compared it many times and like dedicated. You know what you want to buy. Oh,
so it makes so it comes to the Shein, like buying my Black Friday Shein
Yeah,
is
but
it doesn't. There's this whole the environment is involved, and like I'm just buying it because I want these pants.
Yeah,
But like, it's got such big repercussions everywhere else.
yeah,
And I'm not informed.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So that's the part. But it's also the consumer who's just very well informed, and they're gonna know what is a good Black Friday deal and what's not a good Black Friday deal. Like you're gonna know. Whereas if you impulse buy and you're on Black Friday and you're just going into the mall, you're shopping online, sometimes you're gonna impulse buy, which is great. But you don't always know, like, is my Black Friday deal as advertised? Is it such a good Black Friday deal?
Ooh.
So there's a lot of tools around it that you can use as a consumer to actually track pricing. So you can actually track the pricing of a product per month. So you basically can see like, is the pricing going up and down? And you can actually see on Black Friday deal, it will tell you like, okay, this is quite a low price for the pricing what it's been this year. So you're actually better informed to know how good of a Black Friday deal is this actually.
You're opening up a can of worms, yeah. Because, not mentioning names, but I saw something online where a pretty big retailer was using the phenomenon or like the hype around sales,
Yeah.
like sale,
Yeah,
to almost keep something the same price.
yeah,
But on a sale, it maybe went down a bit, but then when it actually came up, it actually gained
yeah,
rands,
yeah,
which is very sad
Yeah.
what you're trying to say, because like, let's say I want a TV and in January it says 20% off,
yeah,
but they could sell a Black Friday at 10% off.
yeah,
And because of the hype, and I'm money pressured, and I think it's a good deal, it actually isn't a good deal.
exactly. You're ill-informed, but it's not always to blame the consumer, because like you would assume it's a good Black Friday deal. But in the defense of the distributors and the suppliers and the retailers, particularly with like rand depreciation as an example, like the rand depreciated quite a bit. If you look at like to the dollar, the rand in the beginning of the year was around like, what is it, 16?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's sitting at 19. So your product became quite a bit more expensive. So actually, yes, the product, for example, may have been 1,000 rand in retail in January or February,
Mm-hmm.
but to import and buy the product and to bring it in South Africa, it's gotten quite a bit more expensive. So yes, maybe the deal is going to be now at 950 rand, and it's not going to be a big saving if you compare it to January, but there's just nothing you can do about it because the product gotten more expensive, and that's the whole thing with inflation. Like your product gotten more expensive. So yes, if you track it, if you compare it to 9 months ago, it's not going to look like the best deal ever, but unfortunately the product with inflation has gotten quite a bit more expensive. So this, and that's definitely in the defense of the retailers, because sometimes there's definitely no malicious intent. Maybe there are sometimes some that try to squeeze in a deal that's actually not a deal, but there's multiple angles to it. So I have to mention that though.
Okay. Yeah, I love that you always, dodge a bullet and say, let me focus on the customer, because the customer seems like the customer is king.
Yeah.
What type of tools can we use? Is there any website to track these type of products? Is there something that you know offhand?
No, not offhand. I can share the link though.
Yeah, cool. Let me know.
But there's basically like it's literally data trackers.
Yes.
So it takes a product and it just tracks it, like it pinpoints on it, and then it tracks the pricing. But there's good websites too. Like there's Price Check as an example.
Okay.
On Price Check, you can literally, I mean, it depends on if your product's advertised, but you can really see the different pricings of a product, so you can automatically choose the best pricing. So there's multiple tools, but I think as a consumer, don't be tempted immediately. I would just always advise like just research properly, do your research, but there's also nothing wrong with the impulse buyer.
Yeah.
Like if it doesn't break the bank, like impulse buy, like it's fun. Like
yes.
you're still gonna have a feeling like scoring a deal gives people a good feeling.
Yes.
Like even if you save yourself $10, you scored a deal,
yeah,
you're still winning. You scored yourself and saved yourself something. In saying that, as a consumer, like the retail spend in South Africa is often on credit.
Oof.
So a lot of the customers are on credit when they purchase something. So in saying that, like do it consciously, and obviously don't overspend beyond your means on credit on Black Friday, because you're going to get yourself in trouble later down the line.
Yeah. I love how you say, go for a good deal. You sound like a proper Dutch guy. Like, you Dutch
It's in me.
Yeah.
I'm Belgian,
but
so I'm Dutch, but I've got that side.
Yeah, you've got that side. Yeah, like the Dutch Flemish
But it
people.
honestly is, it's all a psychological game.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone loves a deal.
Yes,
Everyone.
yes.
So if you know you've saved yourself some bucks, it gives you the endorphins, it gives you a good feeling, it makes you happy.
I feel like a champion.
Yeah. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Okay. So in closing up, let's have a bit of fun. If you had like all the power in the world, right, and you turn over your idea that Black Friday is bad, right, and you had the opportunity to be like, okay, let me make Black Friday good for both. I love that the fact you always talk about the retailer and the consumer. Like you've got these two worlds, and you really focus on the consumer, which is important.
Yeah.
You're not just out here just like putting product out there. What would you create in terms of a Black Friday experience that really empowers and makes profitable for the consumer and the suppliers? I mean the retailer and the suppliers and the consumer.
Yeah, I would go back to one day. Black Friday.
Okay, Black Friday should be one day.
Just one day.
One day.
It obviously started because some of the retailers, like, there's a fear of missing out as a retailer. So imagine everyone, and it depends on the authorities how they set it up, but if there's a strict rule, as in you can only advertise Black Friday on that Friday, there's no fear of missing out as a retailer. But now often there's a fear of missing out because your competitor is going to launch a deal on Thursday. So automatically, you know your competition is going to do on Thursday. You're going to say, you know what, I'm going to be first. I'm going to launch my deal on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, it's kind of like,
yeah, I've already seen in my email.
It spirals.
Yeah.
And now, like, it's nearly a Black Friday month.
Yes.
Because everyone has this fear of like, I'm going to miss out. Like, let's make it earlier and earlier.
Yeah.
And I think someone's going to need to jump in there and kind of like rule the space a bit again and say, Black Friday is Friday and Cyber Monday.
Yeah.
That's when you run the deals. There's no huge discounts before and after, because I think it really dilutes the space, and actually, to be honest, like, it kind of
that competition.
The competition, and also just the excitement of the day. Like, it's a little bit less because now it's that whole month. Like, one day you score your deals and that's it.
Yeah.
Like that would be, for me, the ideal scenario, I think.
So referee Jan. Yellow card, red card.
No, there will be a lot of red cards.
Yeah, a little red cards. Okay, one more question. Rapid fire. What does customer experience mean to you? Because you talk about the customer a lot, and give it to me in the context of South Africa. Like, the customer experience for South Africa. What does that mean to you?
Yeah.
What does it look like now? It's 3 questions. And what would you like it to look like? So, yeah.
Good question, because as a business, you always must be focused on the consumer. Like, obviously, they are the king. Your client retention must be extremely high. So there must be an extreme focus on the customer, and our retailers have that, which I think is great, because they're the ones that carry all the businesses, not us, but also the retailers. So if the consumer doesn't want to come back to e-commerce, or you hurt their trust in e-com, for example, they're not going to come back. So that extreme focus on the customer is important. But I think on the other side, there should, and I'm speaking now for my shop, but there should be a focus too on that supplier focus. So, like, often we don't own the customer. It's the retailer who owns the customer.
Yeah.
And you obviously have the power as a retailer because you own that customer. So the pressure of margin, etc., is often pushed on the supplier. But I'd say, like, without the supplier being able to maintain his business in these kind of Black Friday times, there's not going to be a good product, and eventually the customer is not going to get the right product.
True.
And it's kind of like a positive spiral, where if there's a supplier focus too, and a great partnership between supplier, retailer, and customer, And if they work together really tightly, then you're going to get better products. The business as a supplier gets better. They are now able to do more products, better products, make it more efficient. So eventually it's a positive spiral that the consumer
gets
eventually gets to win too.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I mean, I'm speaking for my own shop, but it really is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where if you squeeze a supplier like a lemon to the last bit, eventually the consumer is also going to miss out.
Yeah.
Because that supplier is going to drop out at one stage too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I know I had two other questions in that question. So, in the context of South Africa, what does the customer experience look like now? What do you think?
To be honest, I think it's super good.
Oh yeah.
I find the forward thinking of South African businesses with consumers, like it's seriously advanced.
Nice. Good to hear.
If you actually, sometimes like the customer experiences in that I have in back home in Europe, always surprises me of how good South Africans are with these things. Like from a technological point of view, from a couple of things where the customer experience is actually really good. I know in general we complain like if you phone government organization, whatever, like you're never gonna get through, the lines are not linked. Yes, but I think from a private sector, like very often you get a really good customer experience. And same from our retailers, like with the focus on that high focus on customer retention and customer focus, you receive a pretty good service.
Amazing. So good to hear. Jan, I'm going to say thank you so much for being on the show. This was super amazing. I learned so much. I could actually go on and on.
Same.
Yeah, and where can people find you and get in contact with you?
Supernova Brands is the website.
Okay, is that .com?
.co.za.
Okay.
So that's a website with all information, and otherwise they can find me on LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Jan Parmentier. And then always to chat. I'm super passionate about distribution, retail, and products. Like I love it.
Yeah.
So whatever conversation or idea that it's sparked with someone, I love to chat about it.
Amazing. Jan Parmentier. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Jason.
Cheers.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Cheers.